Hi, page turners, Katja here. And can you believe we're nearing the end of another year? It feels like just yesterday I was setting up my 2024 reading goals, and now it's time to reflect. And with 2025 on the horizon, I thought it would be fun to look back at some of my favorite books by genres and collect a top 10. So today we're exploring my top 10 sci-fi gems. Whether you're a die-hard fan of the genre or just dipping your toes into sci-fi, I hope the list inspires you to pick up something new. There's a little bit of something here for everyone. Dystopias, space operas, character-driven narratives, and even a mind-bending thriller. So grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and let's talk about the books that made you laugh, cry, and contemplate the universe. And in no particular order, we start with Andy Weir's Project Hail Mary. And if you're thinking, oh, I bet that means she's going to have The Martian on this list, I'm going to surprise you. Don't worry, it's still a favorite of mine, but it just doesn't make the cut for top 10. And here's why Project Hail Mary stood out for me more. It goes beyond personal survival. The story follows Ryland Grace, a lone astronaut who wakes up aboard a spaceship with no memory of who he is or why he's there. And the stakes, oh, just the survival of Earth, so no pressure on him. Yeah, loads of pressure, high stakes, and I loved how Weir lets us experience a spectrum of emotions with grace and weaves in scientific detail with a broader, more introspective narrative. So Grace's journey is to rediscover himself while solving a cosmic puzzle, both gripping and heartwarming. And like I say, high stakes. Without giving too much away, the other themes of the book also gave me the feels. It's a real book with heart, and it's about connection. And speaking of heart, there's another that delivers this in spades. It is Remnant Population by Elizabeth Moon. And I feel like this was a hidden gem for so long, and only recently have I started to see it popping up here and there on BookTube with people's reviews or on TBRs. And I'm so glad that I stumbled across it a couple of years ago. Well, more than a couple. And it is one of those books that remains memorable for me because it is a rare sci fi story that features an older protagonist, where we're used to a genre that has younger heroes. So it definitely feels like a breath of fresh air in that way. Ophelia is a 70-year-old woman deciding to stay behind on a colonized planet after the corporation evacuates everyone else. And what follows is a poignant exploration of solitude, resilience, and self discovery. Ophelia's journey is both cozy and high stakes, with a surprising twist when she realizes the planet isn't as empty as she thought. I found her character so relatable, her quiet defiance, her yearning for independence, and her strength in the face of the unexpected. It's a book perfect for people who love character driven stories with a touch of the unexpected, and for something even more unexpected, you'll enjoy Empire of Silence by Christopher Ruocchio. I hope I've said that right.
In fact, I had not said that right at all. Ruocchio.
I read this book way back for Space Opera September, I think 3 years ago, almost four now, and parts of it still pop to mind now and then, which is good because I didn't read book two, so that is going to be on my list for 2025, Howling Dark. This is an expansive Sun Eater series. The first book, this one, 700 pages, a commitment, but worth it. Empire of Silence is written in the style of a memoir of Hadrian Marlowe, chronicling his rise and fall in an epic blend of space opera, galactic politics, and personal drama. I love the complexity of his character. He's flawed, relatable, and constantly wrestling with his destiny. The world building is also phenomenal. Think interstellar empires, ancient mysteries, and high stakes battles. If you're ready for an immersive, thought provoking series, this is a great place to start. But it is a commitment, as I said. The series is currently on book 6, with book 7 due out soon. So it's all very new and current, and the opposite of our next book, a total classic, in the form of Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Published in 1932, it's nearly 100 years old, and yet it feels relevant today. I'm not usually a dystopian fiction fan, it can feel too bleak, but Brave New World struck a chord for me. Huxley's vision of a society controlled through technology, consumerism, and genetic engineering feels eerily prescient, like he could predict some things sort of almost accurately. The story follows Bernard Marx, an outsider who questions the shallow perfection of an engineered society. The themes of individuality, freedom, and conformity hit close to home, especially in today's world. The book is a reminder of how important it is to question the status quo and cherish our humanity. And now, I said, I don't like dystopians. They're too bleak. Yeah, yeah. And then I go ahead and I'm about to offer you a second dystopian in my top 10 with 1984 by George Orwell. Chilling, timeless, and ahead of its time. And that way it's timeless. Anyway, Orwell's portrayal of a society controlled by surveillance, propaganda, and thought control is haunting and thought provoking. So in Oceania, anyway, a world dominated by the party, protagonist Winston Smith wrestles with the oppressive regime that controls every aspect of life, even thoughts. An old portrayal of Big Brother, Newspeak, and the erasure of truth is hauntingly relevant, making this not just a cautionary tale, but a timeless exploration of power and resistance. I would have liked a little more about the character Julia, but for the length of the book and for who the character Winston is and the world, I sort of get not having that depth. And that means that I can now look forward to, belatedly, because a lot of people have read it, but I have a book on my TBR to look forward to in the form of Julia by Sandra Newman, which retells George Orwell's 1984 from the perspective of Julia, Winston's lover, and I've heard great things, so really looking forward to that. If you're curious, there are other factions other than Oceania, but Eurasia and East Asia may just provide different faces of similar philosophies. It's up to you to decide based on the limited knowledge that Winston has of the outside world. And I just love the way that it looks at the fragility of freedom and the power of language. And on the subject of language, A Memory Called Empire by Arkady Martine. This book just stood out for me for its depth of cultural and political commentary, particularly the way language is used as a tool of power and identity. My thanks to Margaret Penard for putting this on my radar a few years ago. The Texkalani Empire isn't just seductive and dangerous, it's a society where poetry and linguistic artistry are the ultimate markers of status and influence. Mahit Zamir, fluent but always an outsider, wrestles with the empire's cultural dominance while navigating her own identity. Now, if you love slow burn political intrigue with rich world building, this book is for you. Mahit is a new ambassador to the Texkalani Empire, and her first task is to solve her predecessor's suspicious death. No pressure, right? Also, she then has to make sure she doesn't end up in the same way. This book explores memory and legacy through a secret that must be kept from the Empire, one that adds another layer of complexity to the story. It focuses on how language, memory, and culture shape both individuals and civilizations. It's a slower paced book, but the layers of intrigue, sharp commentary, and thoughtful writing kept me hooked. Now we're going to pivot to a story that's just as thought provoking but ventures into the realms of scientific discovery and cosmic wonder with Contact by Carl Sagan. A masterpiece of blending hard science and emotional storytelling, Dr. Ellie Arroway's journey to decode a mysterious alien signal is as much about discovery as it is about faith, humanity, and our place in the universe. What I loved most about this was the philosophical depth. Sagan explores science and also delves into the why behind our quest for knowledge and connection. It's a beautiful, thought provoking story, and I enjoyed the 1997 screen adaptation featuring Jodie Foster as Arroway. Then, moving away from science and philosophy, we go to a book with a more surreal approach, blending reality with the inexplicable. It is The Anomaly by Hervé Tellier and translated by Adriana Hunter. And I really have to hope I'm pronouncing names correctly. Doing my best. This one's for fans of mind bending, genre defying stories. When a flight from Paris to New York experiences a bizarre anomaly, the lives of its passengers are changed forever. And this book weaves together multiple perspectives, exploring themes of identity, fate, and reality itself. The twists kept me guessing, and the fascinating characters added so much to the story. The translation captures the nuances beautifully, making it a standout read. Equally surreal and thrilling, but leaning back into philosophical thought, we are going on to a classic, and that is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. And this book turns 207 on New Year's Day, published 1st January 1818. It needs no introduction, and yet, despite having watched several Frankenstein movies or having Frankenstein as a side character, I didn't realize until I read the book that Frankenstein's monster is not Frankenstein. Frankenstein is Victor Frankenstein, whose ambition led him to creating the creature, and this creature's longing for acceptance raises profound questions about creation, responsibility, and humanity. It's gothic, introspective, and still resonates deeply today. A must read for anyone who loves stories that blend horror with philosophy and going from one creation to another. My final book in this lineup features an AI with her much more empathic creator. It is A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers and has the elements of Chambers' optimistic, character driven sci fi. Definitely don't expect hard science here, but do expect a lot of heart in the story about Lovelace, who was once a ship's artificial intelligence and awakens in a new humanoid body. Following a total system shutdown and reboot, Lovelace must learn to negotiate the universe and discover who she is. Does it push sci fi boundaries? No. Are there new elements? Not necessarily. And yet, it is still very much a story that I enjoyed exploring identity, connection, and what it means to be human. So there you have it. My top 10 science fiction books. Well, they are my current top 10. These stories are proof that sci fi isn't just about spaceships and aliens, though I love those too. It's about exploring the human condition through the lens of the extraordinary. The lineup may change at the end of 2025, and I hope it does because that will mean that I've read some spectacular science fiction. And if you'd like to help me find more great reads, leave your science fiction recommendations for me in the comments. And yeah, let me know. Have you read any of the ones I've mentioned? Do you disagree? Do you agree? Do you have your own favorites? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. Until next time, keep turning pages and dreaming big. Bye for now.